that seems a good opportunity to switch over. I'm just logging in to make sure that the sound is all good. I've got my light on today. I'm trying a different setting. It's more of a bluey yellow light, which I think is a little less, it's less harsh, I think. Right, I'm just seeing whether or not you can hear me. Just wait for the Great Wall or whatever it is. Here we go. That sounds good. That sounds good. I think I did have some problems with it earlier on, and I think I've sort of like narrowed it down to the fact that if I have the noise, the echo cancellation on, then it actually makes all the sound go crackly, etc, etc. So hopefully we won't have that. Had a really busy session yesterday. One second. Really busy. So last night was the final session of our M-Space RPG. For this adventure, we have another adventure coming up. This one was called The Bond of Coralite, and after last week I had to do a lot of work on the fly to sort of like sort everything out, and I'm not too sure I did it successfully, but I think I did it okay. I think we're back on track, and we've got quite a lot of work to do in order to sort of like bring things back on track. There's various things that actually needs to be done and sorted, but hopefully we can hopefully we can do that without any issue at all. So let's go on to the frame page. I don't know why that is so small. Is it normally that small? I don't think it's normally. What's the other one like? That seems to be. Let's increase it. I often increase the size of the web page, so that might explain it. Oh, it's still. I wonder why it doesn't take up the whole screen. I definitely need to put a background on it. We definitely need a background on it. So let's just, while we're here, let's just is that locked? Yeah, okay then. So let's I know that's me. This is what we need to unlock. Let's just have a look at ClickUp, because that's what we need to look at. I'll need to change this one as well, and then we can come back to it a little bit later. So this is what we've got to do. These are all my tasks for today. So I've done the ironing. This goes out at 8 o'clock. I've walked my 10,000 steps, so that's all done. So like the important bits are over here. So these are all the bits that I have to work on at some point, and some of them are RPG stuff. Some of them are not. So that should say Genius and create map of pretty links. That is not. That's all to do with content creation. But we've got some things down here: Newsnet, discussing new recruits, and financial services, which all these I can actually add a tag to them. I think I've got a tag. Oh no, I know why. because they're in the wrong place. But we can add, if I put them in the right place, we can add tasks to that, tags on that says M space, etc, etc. So, but we don't necessarily need to worry about that at the moment. But what we can do is get on with what we need to do, and that is that we've got a variety of things that we need to do. And in the last adventure, the party moved, they finished off Bond of Coralite and moved on to the next sort of like start of the adventure. And what I actually did at that point, I actually introduced them to Project Nemesis. Now, I didn't actually, I wasn't sure when I was going to do this at all, but it just so happened that yesterday seemed an appropriate time. And if you remember, we actually made this up on stream a few sessions ago, and we actually looked at this and started to create it. So this is now in operation, and the party decided to join Project Nemesis rather than being freelancers, which actually reflected well, because of course they had shot Matthew Brock virtually in cold blood. So even though there were circumstances, it still was a little bit, I never saw it coming. I really did not see it coming. And if you ever look back on the VOD, you might actually see me thinking, what? Anyway, so they that's all done, and they sort of like joined Project Nemesis to hopefully give them a bit of structure and things to do. And that leads me on to the next adventure, which was, of course, this I think it's called Marsh Banks. That's what it's called. And so I sort of like had to think, okay, then how can I get them into that? And that's why they joined the Project Nemesis. Now, the interesting thing is I'm going to have to change the beginning of this, because originally it was all set up. You can see here right from the beginning, it will be early one morning that the crew will receive a message from the Sons of Black Star. They would like to hire the party to investigate one of their scout ships is missing. Right, so that has to go. There is no I can't run that. They've sort of like they decided to sort of like leave the Black Star out in, why is my cursor not clicking in certain places at the moment? Let me just refresh the page. So all this has to go. I can change it by they are. So all this part has to go as well. It teaches me to try to be prepared in advance for adventures. So this is going to be the opening opportunity for them to prove themselves within Project Nemesis. Let's sort of like Project Nemesis has decided to provide the group with their first job with the team. Although this is nothing to do with the group's mission statement, it is something that needs to be investigated and an opportunity for the party to show what they are capable of and what future missions will be sent their way. So the first thing that I want to almost like communicate is this idea that I want them to be thinking, okay, then this is our first mission. This is our first mission with Project Nemesis. So we really need to make a good stab with this. Now, one of the things I did with the last adventure, if you watched it live, we did it last night, for Patreons and Ko-fis, it'll be coming out on VOD or playback. You can watch it on YouTube on Wednesday, and for then everyone else it'll be the week after. But one of the things that we did, or one of the things that I did to sort of like incorporate this idea of what it could have been perceived like, I created this piece of narrative text called different perspectives, and Medivac mentioned that I had personalized Jack, the guy that they, not the guard that they had shot, but I didn't mean to make anybody feel uncomfortable or unhappy about anything. What I wanted to demonstrate was that certain people's actions can seem different from different points of views. The other reason I wrote it was that I felt that I didn't, and I think it was because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know it was going to happen. I don't think I communicated the environment of the battle after they had shot Matthew Brock. And I was just thinking, I need to somehow communicate that. So I sort of like wrote this, and things like, you know, there's here, I was saying things like the deck was filled with noise, shots being fired from two parties, Matthew guards in the group, people were caught in the crossfire, bodies lay on the ground, people were frantically stabbing their communicators, trying to get help or possibly say their last goodbyes. Men and women protected each other, some on the ground, some crammed into corners of the room, others had fled into their cabins and were looking out at the carnage as their doors slid closed in an effort to protect them. What had started as a social event of the trip was now a bloodbath. With guards going down one by one, the party made their way to the elevators and left the deck. People cried, others sobbed, some cradled their injured or dying partners and friends. Many just stared around in utter disbelief. And that's, I wanted to communicate what I felt I hadn't as a GM the week before. And I felt as I GM'd it, it become very sterile. It was nothing about the actual group, nothing about the actual environment. It was sort of like, okay, you're next. What would you like to do? You're going to shoot at this person. Bang, they're dead. Hit locations, specials, damage, please. Yes, they're down. What's next? And I felt what I failed to do is communicate and share the actual environment. And if anything, I think my fault. It almost like allowed the characters and players to disconnect themselves from that, and it just sort of like became a general combat. So I was trying to remedy that. Now, if you've seen any of our Destined Destined playthroughs, which is Mithras's version of a superhero game, absolutely fantastic rules. I used to play Golden Heroes as a rule set, and this is absolutely brilliant. I love Destined hugely, and so much so that we were going to have it as a one-off game, but it's become part of the actual rotation. Anyway, on the beginning of some of the Destined adventures, I did what was known as a Network 7 newcast, and so like to get the feeling, and I really liked that, and I really liked how this worked in the last session. So I'm almost like thinking of putting a narrative in at the beginning of each session, and almost like a fly on the wall, so not involving the party or the players, but almost like giving them an almost like a cinematic or movie viewpoint into something else. And for the next adventure, before they get the job, I've come up with the following idea, and what I want to do. So just down here, I don't know, yeah, you can see it. I can just quickly create a generic article here, and I'm going to new recruits discussion. And what I want to do here, so I can do various things now on here. So I'm going to make it part of Marshbanks here. I'm actually going to put 5,000 as the weighting, which means it'll come right the way up at the top. I need to make it private so no one can see it, and publish it. Here is that if I wanted the players to see this, I could add them, okay, and I could actually add them to it, but I don't want them to see it, so I won't. So what we should have now, hopefully I saved that. I was just trying to find Marshbanks in here. Let me just see if I can. Right here. So something's gone wrong here, because what I should be able to see. Let me just see if I see it at the bottom. Let me just view this in another tab and see what I see. Right, okay then. So I actually see it all up here at the moment, which is not, it's not how I want to see it. So we need to do a bit of a sort out here, mainly because, so what I've done, one of our ships is missing. If I edit this article and go into the navigation, it's lost its parent here for some unknown reason. So, and I think the reason it's done that is that down here it's almost like gone here, and I'm not happy with, well, let's see whether or not it'll actually do them both, because I don't mind doing them both if that works. So if I just now refresh this page, so it's up there, one of our ships is missing, which is good, and it's down here as well. So both of those is a good way. I've started to create these sort of like headers, so it's easy for me to sort of like see what's actually happening. So what I'm actually going to do with this new discussion article, the idea of this is that I'm going to have Beck, who is the one of the leaders of the group, discussing the new recruits with the head of project nemesis in the draft sector. So the draft sector, a sector has 16 subsectors. Each subsector has a number of stars in, whether or not there be single, binary, trinary stars, and each one of those stars has a system connected to there. So the party are currently on Levito subsector, and draft sector is one of the sort of like all the 16 together. So I wanted to sort of like write a bit of fiction that almost like in my head I had a discussion with two people probably smoking in a rather dirty, disorganized office with like brown folders, and opening them up and sort of like talking about the characters, not the players, the characters and what they've discovered about them, and almost like to show again the players how their characters reactions or actions can be perceived. And I'd already sort of like, and I'm talking here about characters, not players, and that's really important. So for like Minsk, well, I wanted them to sort of like talk about being brash, to the point, willing to go out on a limb and challenge authority, you know. And I don't want these people to be discussing everything that's happened. What I want them to I want to just capture what they've already talked about, what they've already done, and what they've already demonstrated. So it's not the idea that I'm going back in time or anything like that. It's just from what they've sort of like found out about them. Here I might also put, apparently he is a really good pilot. Leads. We'll lead the leading bit. And then we've got Newman, ex-law enforcer, silent type, doesn't say much, used to taking orders, the main heavy of the group. And then we got IO. I wanted them to be quite misogynistic because I don't think that gender acceptance, you know, even in the future might still be the same, but I want them to sort of like say things like nice girl or nice looking girl or something like that. Nice looking girl, had ties with the religious freaks, Sons of Black Star. Apparently is a hacker, both computers and communications. And then Hammond, old enough to be my dad, because he obviously he's old, but rumor has it he used to work for Core. Oh, hang on, I can just why is Core not coming up? Let's I thought it might come up like that, but that's not what I wanted, so we'll just I'll just type it in and then link it later. Engineer and drones and robotics. Still knows his way around an engine. I'll go to put a hyperdrive. Okay, so though I'll flesh all this out, so I've got like a written narrative, so on the night I can just sort of like read it, but this is an important sort of like starting point. And so it's going to be a fly on the wall looking in on it, but not really having an interaction with it. And then that is when we will then move on to this one. So it's decided to provide the group with a first jet, although this is nothing to do with the group's apostrophe S. I have to keep my grammar good. Mission statement is something to be investigated, an opportunity. There are concerns that one of their ships have not reported or arrived, despite the last coordinators being in the Alecto system, one jump away. They were carrying back they were returning from a mission to gain data in a variety of forms of one of the leading right, so Alecto is quite an interesting place. So it's literally like one jump away from Sothis, where they are at the moment. So we need to be in Levito's subsection. So this is the subsector that they're in at the moment. So the party started on Levito here, and they made the jump to Sothis, and Alecto is just like one jump away. That's all it is. It's not far away at all. And then what it has, okay, so these are the planets. It has the closest planet, closest to the, I think it's a binary star here. Oh no, it's a giant yellow trinary star. So it's 3 stars in thick rotation. And there's 4 planets and 4 gas giants in them. And these are the planets. And this is the one, Alecto 1, where the, oh, is it, I can't remember whether or not it's Alecto 1 or Alecto 4. Oh yeah, tropical animal, I think it's 4 that they're going to, yeah. we will see. Where it's breathability, so it's Earth-like. So they're going to this area. So I have to make sure, why would something be going back at this point? Return to gain mission of variety of forms of. If you're in the chat, feel free to contribute. I'm never saying that I will take all your ideas, but what I will say is that, you know, if sometimes something sparks off my imagination as we go. And the returning from a mission to gain information in a variety of forms of a recent business deal that might mean that. So the biggest question is where, I think what I need to decide first is where they're traveling back from. And this is going to lead into the rift gates, which is like wormhole or jump gates. And the party don't know about these yet. But one of the nice things about wiping their memories is that I can ease them in one bit at a time. So I'm thinking that Ashura here is where they were coming back from, and they made the jump. The rift gate goes. Okay then. So this is an issue. Because really the jump gate would go to this hex here. So why didn't they just jump to Sothis straight away? Okay then, so right, why don't we make it from Connie up here, and the jump gate can go from 1010 to 1013. Okay then, let's make a note of that. Return from a mission that might mean well, we don't need to say a recent business dealings of recent business dealings involving the we don't need to put that within the Connie system. The scout ship. Okay, this is when I need a name for it, because they will, I just know they will naturally ask what it was the name of this scout ship, who was on board. The scout ship Project Nemesis is the Greek god, I think, of retribution. So I think it'd be really nice that if their scout ships are actually also named after Greek gods, you know, so each sort of like party is called after a Greek god. And of course things like Ares, Aphrodite, everything like that will be taken up. And I just need to sort of like think of a really low ranking Greek god and say, from now on your party will be known as, you know, something really poor. Okay then, so let's see Greek gods. Let's have a look. Britannica, that's always a good start. Aphrodite, Athena. Will it allow me to reject all? Right, we'll just save and exit. Artemis, Ares, Apollo, Demeter, Dionysus, Hades, Hera, Hermes, Poseidon, Zeus. Okay, so those are some of the gods. Who was the Greek god of misfortune? Oh, I can't even pronounce that. Good grief. Who is the Greek god of bad luck? Hades. Well, we don't want him. Luck and mischief. Taishi or Tyche, it could be. Who is the Greek god of helplessness? Some of these names I just cannot. Dolus. I like that. That Dolus. Let me just. That's going to be the name of ship. Dolus. And then what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to just quickly create an article here and call it Dolus and copy in what I created there. Make it private and published. Then if I go back here, I should be able to add that and it'll pick it up. The scholarship Dolus had 4 personnel on board. Zach, somebody's this. Hey Matt, how you doing? Hope you're looking good and feeling fine. Zach Bridge, captain. I want to say team leader. That's what I want to put. Lauren, Jax, medic and science officer. Margot, Tress, security and gunner, and finally Zeeb. No, let's not make another Z. Do you know, sometimes I was talking on this afternoon's stream about my lack of creativity, and I often think this is my creativity, that I make up adventures from like nowhere and communicate them in such a real way that they actually become like reality, which is really interesting. Morris Sanderson. Engineer. Just finished the first week. Oh, well done. Excellent. You just done. Have you done all three runs in week 1? Right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put some formatting onto this now. Oops, unordered list. List item. List item. I'm hoping that I'm remembering my code here as I type this in, because otherwise it's going to be completely wrong when I have like I said, there's actually a visual editor sort of like version of this, but I found that when I'm using it, it doesn't look, sometimes it doesn't come out how I want it to look, and so I sort of like reverted to the code, BBC code or BB code. Well done, well done. Have a rest, 1 day rest, and straight on to week 2. Do you feel happy to go on to week 2, or would you like to redo week 1? So I actually I did week 4 for 2 weeks because I found it a real step up. Okay, so let's just save this and then open it in a new link and see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks good, doesn't it now? Because I can clearly see it. Okay, if willing, they would like you to pay the party to travel to oh, you can do. Okay, there's a Facebook group that I was a member of. I'm a member for Couch to 5K, and it's interesting. Some people, and I would actually advise you not to do it. Okay, so don't do this. Some people kept looking ahead, and they were actually saying they couldn't do it, even though they hadn't even tried to do it. Does that make sense? They had defeated themselves even before they had started. And what I strongly recommend you to do is just trust the system, but also don't look ahead. Just put your shoes on, set it off, and do it. And the only thing that I would say is that you can go as slow as you want with your running, as long as you do not stop. And that's what sometimes I was dragging myself round, but I did not stop. And that's the important bit. So don't look ahead, just trust in it and have a go at it. That's what my advice would be. So I'm on week 9. I'm on the last week next week. Yeah, exactly. And that's an important thing to say, when your body says stop rather than your mind. So one thing that I find, I start off running, and within the first sort of like street, my legs start to hurt. I sort of like they feel really heavy, and what I have to do is push myself through that, and then I get into a rhythm, and that's it. And it's almost like a defense mechanism that I'm running, and then all of a sudden my legs say, oh no, I'm hurting, wanting me to stop, but I just push through it. And I've had no injuries at all. I haven't had any pulled ligaments or anything like that at all. So and see if the ship was in that center, whether or not it's still there. If it is, I'd like you to bring the crew and any data back to Sophis. Okay, so that's all right. Of the scout ship, details of the crew. It is up to the party when they want to leave. Ensuring that they have the necessary equipment would be a good start. Their scout ship contains this, that, and that. Okay, so that's all good now. So that's been completely rewritten from what it actually was. Okay, so now what we need to do is go on to the second one. Let me just go, can I go back to, yeah, Mars Banks here. So the second one is arriving at, oh look, it's Alecto 4 that they're going to. Okay then, so this is number 2 arriving. So will it pick it up with just number 2 as a search? Let's just type in Elector arriving. So this is the next one that we need to do. And within this navigation, I need to, that needs to be taken out. That's why it's not working. Marshbanks. Was that the same as this one? Does this one have it in? No, that's all corrected. I tried doing it beforehand and couldn't get through the first session without feeling so. Yeah, well done. Well done, Matt. Hey, Darth, how are you doing? Hope you're looking good and feeling fine. Can I just say sorry about the background and the mess, etc., etc. It will get better once I can afford a new lens for my camera here. I'm going to get a camera lens that probably has an f-stop of 2.8 or 2 or lower, which means the background will become all blurry because it'll have a very narrow depth of field, which would be absolutely perfect. Okay then. Okay then. So right. So this is the first thing that we need to do. Oh, hang on. We need that information in the last one. I forgot to put it in here. The dollars had travel through the rift gate from outside the I don't know whether or not I can do Collie system which allowed them to arrive 1 jump away from Alecto. crew, the team, was then planning on making the single jump to the Sothis system. I might have two systems there, but that's all right. So that's all done and dusted. Let's save that. Let's go back on to this one and let's bring up this arriving at the Electo system. Now I think from this point onwards we should be all right. Electo 4 is the only habitable planet within the system. However, it's never been colonized. It has a dense, unpleasant atmosphere that is breathable but not pleasant. So is that actually what it actually says? Is that actually what it says actually in the system? So we've got, yeah, number of habitable planets, one with Electo 4, so that's good. So the idea of these that I've sort of like set up, so this looks like this to the party. I am more than happy to share that with the group. Okay, the only thing that I can't have it having a starport. Okay, there can't be a starport there. So even though originally there was a starport there, there is not a starport anymore. So here it's just going to say in here none, and that's it. I bet somebody at Bethesda is watching this, taking notes. Oh, that would be, I never know how to say that name, by the way. Bethesda. Why can't they make it really easy and call these things Bob? So that's all right. See, what I don't understand is Electo 1 has a dense semi-toxic lifeless. Any of these things here, I can go back and put life on them if I actually wish at a later date. That's the joy of it. I'm going to get something in the background, by the way, because there's like a black border. I think you can see a black border, and I want to get something round it to sort of like sit me in it. Maybe a cloud. Oh, I wonder if I can show you. Let me just let me see if I can show you this. So what I need is that open as well. So as you know, one of the things I love to take photographs of are clouds. Okay, I love taking photographs of clouds, but I'm never very good at them. So on here, this is Photoshop. Okay, so that is the original photograph I took. Okay, and I was really interested in the clouds down here. Okay, so that's the original photograph I took. Okay, happy with that. Okay, that is not what the photograph looks like when I sent it out to Instagram. Sending it out to Instagram, it looked like that. Isn't that amazing that I can go from the original photograph to that? I just think the power, the actual power of AI and everything now, you probably wouldn't even, you can say, I mean, this is completely gone. Completely and utterly gone. It is. And do you want to know? Let me just show you this. I was showing this. So can you see this lamppost here? So this is how easy it is. So I drew around it like that. Okay. Came down here and said content aware fill. Okay. It looks at it for a while. Wait. I mean, come off it. Would you ever think there was something there? Do you know what I mean? It's literally gone. Literally gone. I just think it's absolutely amazing. I really do. Don't save that. I'm just closing down the... People are actually going to break each other's perception of... Yeah, it is. And that's what I was saying in the stream today. We're going to get to the point that we don't actually know what's real and what's not real. And there's a whole load of videos out there about taking filming, so you in a little box, but then artificially putting the background on, not via green screen, by actually creating the background via AI. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, it's never been colonized, has a desert under a planet as one tropical. Right, all this is absolutely fine. This will all... Just as they're about to leave, there will be a single beep of an object near to the planet. It was in space and too small to be a starship. The bleep only appeared once and then disappeared. There is only information about its size. Oh yeah, so that's the EMP drone. Starshot says the planet is devoid of human occupation, although exists tropical biome across the majority of the planet. There are records of plant life, animal life, but nothing that appears dangerous. It has been some years since it's been completed. Okay, this is all good. This all seems good. Before long, we won't even know if it's you streaming or just... Well, we already know that, don't we, Matt? That's only already available. Because, what do you call them, Matt? Is it VTubers that you call them? People who have, like, a false... have an avatar depicting them. And... you know, you can already modulate your voice, so you might actually not know the person. You could have somebody streaming with an avatar disguising their voice to be of the opposite gender or anything. I think it's exciting, but it's also scary to the nth degree. Oh, there's electrical storms as well. The reason for this is electrical storms. Okay, so that's all good. That can still remain because there's no mention of anything to do with the whatchamacallit, and that's all set up. So that's Sons of Black Star, because I have to take all those out after the last adventure. Okay then, so that's 2. This'll teach me to create an adventure before one has finished. You know, I shouldn't have done this, right? That needs to go, and this one needs to be Marshbanks. That's what we need there. I think I'm just going to leave that. Okay then. It's a bumpy one. That's all about going through. Right, this one, this has gone. Okay, because they haven't transferred it onto the other ship at all. So that's all gone. So I don't need to worry about that. There is a creator called Veldai987 on Twitch whose entire channel is AI characters. He's live right now with 6k viewers. Oh my giddy aunt, I need to see this person. I'll give them some free advertisement. 867 was it? Was that it? Right, let me just, I must have typed it wrong. Veldai 987. Veldai 987. Let's have a look.
You're the kindest person I know. Asterisk gasp asterisk. Thanks, that's so nice of you to say. You're too kind.
Oh my.
I'm just telling the truth.
That is unbelievable.
This isn't a trap, is it? I mean, you're evil like I am, so of course this wouldn't be a trap, right? Hee hee. What do you think?
Look at the...
I think it's a trap. I think you're lying to me. Alas, it appears my evil twin has trapped you.
That is unbelievable. Watching the chat go up as well is massive. The Congress committee looking into how to speak, giving it opening comments, but it wasn't actually him, and the speech was written by yeah, excellent. And there was the guy who didn't recorded himself attending work Zoom meetings, and so when he attended a Zoom meeting, it wasn't him. It was actually a recording, including one time that he had to give a speech. And so he was actually there watching everything, but recording it, but it was actually a video of him all the time. And I was thinking about, so character animation and character builder, you create the sound and it does the builder, but then you press keys while you're recording and they put their hand up or they sigh or do things. And I was just thinking you could do that so easily now on Zoom, just sort of like every now and then go like this, and if it's slightly out, people would just think it's lag, and that's it. Right. In addition, the ship will receive some damage to its electrical systems. This will increase all rolls associated with a lockdown. Okay. Navigation. This is from Star Wars. If unsuccessful, the ship will sink slightly on the left side as it rests, and when he lands in the swamp and Yoda takes it out. Take off harder with a pilot. Okay, then the atmosphere is very warm and dense. Endurance checks needed every hour. Right. Below the electrical reader store, I'll clear it. And the Dolus scout ship will be located nearby. When arriving at the ship or through sensors, the following information can be arrived. Remember the smell of fuel. What does that mean? What on earth did I write there? There's like, remember the smell of fuel. Oh, right. I think there must be a ruptured fuel tank. It's running on emergency power. Outside hatch is open. Life support is working, but there's no sign of life on the ship at all. And electronic skills reveal a large percentage of the ship's systems have been fried, possibly by that should bring us back memories. The computer has automatically shut down all access to the ship's computer. This was a command given by one of the Dolus crew. The system can be hacked. Conflict pool, computer versus 35 pair. If I hacks the system, then her difficulty. Oh, right, that goes. Because that's not happening. That's in combat, if it was in combat, but otherwise it's every 10 minutes. Do they run on fuel? No, fuel. It's just like Traveller, they have fuel scoops and everything. There was a big discussion about it in yesterday's game. Because on the ship that they're in, they were asking what the blue bits were. Let me just get the picture up because it's quite clear on the. So this is their scout ship, and that blue bit there. That is fuel tank, look. And then there's the fuel scoop and the processor down here. Every 10 minutes, computer checks will reveal that everything was going fine up to the top. Sensors logs reveal presence of a probe nearby, which links back to the first bit. Engines are operable, although fuel leak issues. It's lost a lot of fuel. The ship's boat is currently trapped inside the ship. The hatch is rammed up into a tree. So just so you know, so I've already created this map. So this is what the map for this one looks like at the moment, which I'm quite proud of. So that's like the scout ship. This is the swamp. These are the characters because they'll need their tokens, and I don't know if you can see it here, but these are the people who are going to attack, but they're actually on my GM layer. Why? I need to try the new toolbar. That's what I need to press. So when the players come onto this map, when the players actually come onto this map, they can't see those, but I have access to them on the GM layer, and then I can start moving them and make them reappear as I see fit. What are you using for your maps? Roll 20. Just roll 20. no visible tracks of disturbance. The scene comes to an end. The ship or one of the personnel center will pick up an approaching of 6 life forms, possibly humans, coming from deeper inside the swamp to the ship. Okay, and that's the end of that bit. Okay, now, as well as all that, I'm not going to spend all this session talking about that, because if I go to my ClickUp, there's certain things that I need to work on. Okay, so there's this idea of the Newsnet and the medical service. So all this sort of like area, all the draft subsector, I want to have the same sort of like feels, because they're going to be in the draft sector for a long time. And I wanted, I don't know if you remember in one of the games a while back, I wanted something for the medical team, and I'm going to call them first response medical teams. So these are medical something. Hi Chat for Wheels, how you doing? Looks like you got some sun. No, I'm just red. Roll 20 assets. Yeah, and anything that I create myself. First response medical. I want to put team, but it's almost like association. I might actually leave it just like that. First response medical. I like that. This is the health care association for the whole of the draft sector. This includes, and then I need to have a nice bullet list like this. And then what I do is that I cut and paste, I copy this, copy. Then I've got, so it's medical centers on habitable planets. Boom. Paste. Paramedic response teams. Anything else that would come in the do you know what I'm going? I've changed my mind for the name of this article. Let me give that a H3 title. I'm going to what do you call like police, fire, emergency services? Emergency and health services. For the draft sector. That'll do. I might change it a little bit. Ooh, came onto the wrong thing, sorry. It's mainly it's mainly a business. It's probably it's more like a something that people it can be the emergency response teams, but it also include health services, and hence why I put it in, because it's also like the doctors, etc. First response medical. Okay, that's all that. So, and this is really important. So there's no sort of like there's no cybernetics in this sector. They can't get G-Tech, Q-Tech in this sector. There's no sort of like, they probably have cryogenic freezing, but that's about it. Fire and rescue. I don't have a name for those at the moment, but it doesn't matter, because when I go for a walk or I'm running, a lot of names come to me just as I'm running along. So these are the law enforcers, and they already have a name for this sector, because this is shield. There you go. And the only thing I need to do that is change their locality, because they've got like a base. Is it something they have to pay for, like Dock Wagon? It doesn't go into that much. Our M-Space campaign is not in that much detail. So, for example, you would hate it, Chuggerwugger. You would just hate it. For example, they don't actually have money. They don't have credits. It's all done by almost like an abstract system. So even if it was to do with medical health or whatever, it would actually be part of their standard lifestyle costs. And that would be it. So it doesn't... It could be either or. What we'll probably do is create it on the fly and see what actually it feels right to do it. Yeah, so that is good. So we'll publish that, but it's private, so no one can see it. And let me just go. That's done. I've talked about writing the narrative for the new recruits. Oh yeah, so the next thing that I wanted to say that was actually available is Newsnet. And this is an organization, and it's called Newsnet. This provides all the draft sector with news updates. There is often a delay in the reporting of some of the events due to the lag associated with communicating news stories. Oops. Learn how to spell across the sector. Okay, so that's good as well. So we take that off private, put that into publish, and then what I can do from this one, we can start dragging them into areas. So Newsnet will go into organization and corporations. So will emergencies. That's all done. This is all under Marsh Banks, which if I go on here, we can hopefully, yeah, so you can see now we've got each one of them here, so I can access them. And also, so what I see, just so you know, how I actually see them all when I'm DMing, is that I actually have this open. This is what I'm looking at. And then what I can do is click on each one of these to take me backwards and forwards. Oh yes, I know. This is just like the overview. So we're working on this bit next. That is all in this one. So this is when they touch down. That's what we've just done. I still want to name them a Greek god, you know, but I want it that it is really sort of like pronounceable, so I can pronounce it all the time, but also has some kind of Momus is interesting. A god or personized spirits of mockery, blame, ridicule, scorn, complaint, and harsh criticism. He was expelled by Zeus from heaven for ridiculing the gods. I like the idea of that. Persephone. What? Pythonus. Good grief. Tragedy. Melpomene. I really like this Momos. I really like that one. I just think it'll be so funny for them to find out at a later date. Yeah, so Artemis, so what I was thinking, did you ever read the book Artemis Fowl? That was, I forget who wrote Artemis Fowl, but it was, I'm sure that was the name of it. But it's such a good book. So what I've also got that you won't see, that I also have on another page, is that I have all this. So these are the notes. So here, and this is for everything. So what I do, I actually have this open as we do the adventure, and therefore I can make notes. And it's really helpful because I can go back, but you can see here I have ideas, things about vehicle creation, Light of Zaraxis, which was the Spelljammer one, Harpy Queens, all here. That's all about the wealth things and things like that. So I'm constantly adding notes left, right, and center throughout the session. No, I barely read for. I should really get, but there's so much. Yeah, that I actually adore Audible books. I very rarely read a fiction book because the majority of my job is about reading. I've just realised that there's a slight tint on here. Let me just reset everything. That's probably a little bit better. Okay, so that can go in there. That's absolutely fine. Touchdown is done. I used to play a super hardcore mind that would build a city where people could be safe. Oh, Artemis. I think in Percy Jackson's Lightning Thief, I think the girl is called Artemis. Yeah, so what I say to myself whenever I'm walking, I have to listen to a book. And I give a book. There was one book, and I tried to write a negative review about it, but it won't let me. So there's this book called Convergence, and it got me so annoyed, and I was so fed up with it, I actually stopped listening to it. And I won't go back to it because it's rubbish. And then I moved on to a new book called Pushing Ice. Recently listening to the first Sharp, is that sharp as in Chuggerwugger really likes is that like Sean Ben Bean Sharp? Is that the same person that you're talking about? Chuggerwugger really likes that if it is. I'm listening to a book at the moment that is called Pushing Ice, and it's about a spaceship that basically blows up comets or changes their the direction of them, and they get a signal to go to a moon because Janus, which is one of the actual moons of Saturn, Jupiter, I think, or Saturn, actually reveals itself not as a moon at all, but some kind of human metallic structure that has just broke out of orbit and is heading off to another star. And so Rockhopper has been ordered to go and try to catch up on it. But as you can imagine, there's a whole load of things that are happening wrong on the ship. And it has a real, it's not like Star Trek feel of the ship. It's more Firefly or Aliens feel of the ship. And there's a lot of politics between officers. And there's some people that I just sort of like think, I hate you. You are, and I think a book is really well written. Yeah, exactly. And they don't know what it is. They don't know what it is, which I think is super exciting. But it's so well written that I'm totally addicted to it. I need to know what's going to happen. And they're just coming into 100,000 kilometer range of Janus at the moment to start doing their initial sort of like observations. But little things like Rockhopper, I don't know if you know this, but Rockhopper is a type of penguin. I don't know if you know that, but their logo is of a penguin that has a bandana on and this mighty gun that looks like it's shooting. And they have an official meeting at one point, and they sort of say, there might be an issue with the logo on the side of the ship because it looks very threatening to anybody that they're going to. So they're actually travelling at 1.5G towards this, and they actually have to go out and repaint it, which I love things like that. I think that is really, somebody's really thought about the storyline. Okay then, so they've touched down, and I think what happens here, they touch down, and at the end of this is where there's people coming out. So that's at 3, and I don't think incoming life signs. What's that one? Oh yeah, this is still do you know what I need to do? I think I need to sort of like put a premise, a prefix on these so I know which plot they're from. Right, okay then, so this needs some work. 6 bandits from the photo. They are coming back to check the ship, the system worth salvaging. That's all done. So I've done that already. Party will, if they're quick, the scouts are not expecting anything. They will approach it. They will, however, dive for cover if attacked. They are in communication with the rest of the camp, so they will radio back if anything goes wrong. Their communications can be hacked or blocked, so there's options there. The scouts will talk from behind cover if shouted at. They will try and talk for time so that they can start circling around to have a multi-angled attack. They see the party as someone claiming the salvage, which is their only way off planet. They have taken, and this is where we need to taken the crew of Dolos back to their camp. They're technically prisoners, and if inquired about, they will lie and say that everyone was killed in the crash. If they do not manage to get communication, another 6 scouts will arrive in 30 minutes. The camp is 30 minutes walk away from the swamp. It's a tough journey, different hazards. If any of the scouts are taken prisoner, they are guiding the party. They will try to lead them into some of the hazards. Okay, so this one here is a real issue because I don't know what the party is going to do. They're either going to keep them and go, or they're going to look and try to go back the way they came. Hopefully there's enough of a lead to say you need to go back in that way, and that leads us on to number 5, which I don't know whether or not I wrote. Right, hang on. This needs to have some clarifications in the navigation. That needs to be removed. This needs to have marsh banks connected to it and saved. So that's good. Now back to the articles. Plots. Do we have any more? So I don't think I've got to number 5. I think we finished at 4. Okay, so number 5, the 5th one, we need to get rid. Has lost another photo. This is just the overview, so I don't really need to bother that much about that. These are just sort of like my notes. So these are the in the swamp natural things to happen. Okay, then so this will be a new article. It's going to be a plot. Marsh banks 5 through the swamp, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be private, so we can create this article now, and then hopefully we will see it in the recent article things. Here it is. So let's get on and have a look at this. Let's get the navigation set up first, in the sense that this needs to be part of Marsh Banks. It's number 5, so the weighting is 500. Content design. Marsh. If I put Marsh in here, it'll bring it up so I can just click on it. I really like this header. I don't know if you can see, but you can see this is the scout ship. This is the drone or the probe that did the E, and this is sort of like some weird person in the background. So it's like a composite of everything together, which I love. Okay then, so in here, these are the different things that are going to happen or can happen. So what we need to do then is just sort of like increase them. Now this one here, I'm actually going to have some grazing sort of like dinosaur type creatures ahead of them, or grazing across their the path, and then as they sort of like you know, go away from them and start to move around, I'm going to make them hear something rushing from behind them. So they're actually trapped between a Tyrannosaurus Rex type creature and all these carnivore herbivore creatures, and they're in the middle. This one, which I think was Matt's idea, I'm actually going to ask them to do like willpower rolls or something like that for what might be another reason, and then I'm going to get them to think that people see things tracking on either side or something like that. They don't have a science officer, okay, and they have sensors, but they have no science officer, and nobody likes taking knowledge skills. So one of my aims with the future adventures is trying to demonstrate the importance of knowledge. So for example, if I said to them, your systems are showing that there's hydrogen sulfide gas, what will happen is that they'll use their own, they know their understanding of that. But if I make up a new element, a new gas, they don't know what it is. And so I can say there's a huge amount of methanol, hydrogen, benzene in the air. Your sensors is reading as toxic, but they don't know what toxic it is. So what I'm trying to do is just sort of like create new words so they don't actually know themselves how to progress with them. And the current players are absolutely brilliant at it, and they won't meta it at all, but they're in their heads. I like them to think as players, what the flip is this? This is what I want to sort of like work on. The insects biting is just going to be something quite minor. I am going to ask them for a random roll to see if they are allergic. To see whether or not they're actually... Hey, Willy Gnome, how you doing? I saw you playing... Were you playing Lord of the Rings earlier today? How did your stream go? Thank you for the 2 likes, by the way. I appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is... Nobody is going to say, oh, I am allergic. And they've never thought about it, but I thought it would be really good. What do you think the percentage chance of somebody being allergic to insects would be? What do you think the percentage chance? I was thinking about 5%. That's what I was thinking. Do you think it'll be lower than that? Okay, but bitrate crashed. Oh no! Oh, that's a shame. Maybe there was something on the system or on the broadband, etc. That's 1 in 20, isn't it? 5%. So it's like me saying to them, okay, pick a number between 1 and 20. And then me rolling a dice. And if that number comes up, they're actually allergic. If not, then they're not. So I think 5% is probably nice. 2%, oh, well done, Matt. I didn't think about that. 2% of the population reacting with symptoms that affect more than just... Oh, yes. So why don't we say, because it's a new insect, why don't we say 5% will react more, e.g. bigger red lumps, and then say 2% or less will have a significant allergic reaction. So if I ask them all to roll a 1d100, if they get 5% or below, they've got quite some kind of significant reaction. But if it's 2% or less, i.e. they roll a 1 or 2, then there is a significant allergic reaction. Now this is really interesting, this, because Mithras and M-Space roll the other way round. So if they get a low number, it's better than a high number. So everything between 96 to 100 is always a miss, and everything from 0 to 5 is always a hit. So there's a bit. I like that. Thank you, Matt. That's a good good idea. This is this is definitely going to be like an endurance check. It's not going to be a willpower check because it's not. Or would it be? I might make it a willpower check, you know. Seeing shapes, following them on their flanks. Now, this sounds okay. There's a lot of thought had gone into this, and I don't know whether or not people ever realize the amount of thought that goes into an adventure that I try to put into adventure. But can you remember when the scout approached the ship that the party's in? If you remember, they try to flank them. Okay, that's their purpose, to try to flank them, and no matter what, I will talk about them flanking. And then I will do the same thing here. Okay, so I will talk about flanking. But what I might do, I might get them just to roll a 1d100 so they don't know it's willpower. You know, so they're not aware of what it is. Because I have their will, I can find out their willpower numbers in any case. So this one, carnivorous plants, I'm going to have tendrils that extend and grapple and constrict. 1d2 damage modifier. So rather than attacking them with guns, what I'm going to do is all of a sudden they will feel something wrapped round their leg and then get grappled, which means if a leg gets it, then they can't use that and they'll fall to the ground. But then it'll constrict as it's pulling it towards them and do 1d2 worth of damage. So when you're grappling you have the option to use your damage modifier as an attack damage if you hold it. Just like in normal grappling rolls, they can use brawn to try to get out. Okay, so they can do that. But I'm also going to say tendrils have 4 hit points before they release. Okay, so for me, anything to do with role-playing games, the monster or the opponent is the most minor point about the encounter. The most important thing about the encounter is the situation. And that situation can change an encounter dramatically. If I give you an example, okay, then 4 bandits stop you on the street. Okay, that is a really easy encounter. Put the characters on the same street, make it at night, and put them on top of roofs, hurling things down to them. That's a more lethal, for me, a more exciting combat situation, because it's no longer about the mobs. You know, you can actually change a really easy mob, really easy to kill mob, really threatening by changing the situation. And that's what I want here. That's what I actually want. I want them to realize that the environment is harsh. You know, I don't need people with light machine guns to cause threat to them. I can get plants to attack them. The other interesting bit here, of course, comes back to the swamp gas. Because is the swamp gas flammable? If it is, do they dare risk firing their weapons? Can you see what I mean? So it becomes a real issue. I'm going to put these two together. That would be and do that and that. Have you ever think to add like the alien in the game, as in the like a predator, as in the predator, or like the alien monster? I would never put something in that says, oh, this alien has a hard chitin exoskeleton, and when you break it, it has acid for blood. Because I just know then that all they're thinking about is aliens or predator. What I would prefer to do is create one that they don't know what it's going to do, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I wouldn't use that because they will know too much about it. I much prefer to create something really random. And this is another reason why I like M Space and Mithras and Destined and After the Vampire Wars, because there's still this unknown. There's this unknown element of it. Well, if you're playing 5th edition, and you say a goblin, 3 goblins attack you, then people generally know what their armor class is, what their weapon damage is, what their initiative bonus is, etc., etc. Well, I want that unknown element. Yeah, so in one of my D&D 5th edition campaigns called Brigadoon, I actually made fungal skeletons. Okay, and fungal skeletons were so interesting, because what they did well, the party didn't know what they did, and it caused some real worry in the party, because when you gave they were almost like, I described them as desiccated, like, you know, like desiccated coconut, but I had desiccated skeletons. They were completely dried out, but they still had their skin on them. But when you hit them and killed them, they went boom and almost like showered the party with spores. Now, it's interesting that visualization came from Aliens, where the one of, not Vasquez, Drake, I think his name is, gets sprayed with acid, and he goes like that as he gets sprayed, and that visualization led me to the fungal spores. That was such a good adventure, because all of a sudden they were thinking, what on earth is this? Can I get killed by it? What should I do about it? So it was super adventure. That Big Beastie used to play in that. Brigadoon, 1 second. And one of the things I remember quite clearly was he was a gnome fighter, and he fought with 2 sickles. And he was an excellent role player, even at that early level, because I remember one of the experienced D&D players say, why don't you fight with a different sword? Because you can still do it, the rules still allow you to do it, but you'll be doing much more damage. And I remember him quite clearly turning around to them and say, no, my character fights with sickles. You know, he wasn't worried about the meta or trying to get the perfect combination. He had made his character up without knowing the rules. So he did it purely on what he wanted, and then that was it, which was really interesting. Okay, sinking in the mud has to be about brawn rolls. What I'm going to do, opposed rolls. So the sinking mud has a brawn roll of, say, just put a random figure in for now, 40%. Okay, so what will happen is that the character will fall into it or get into it or avoid it, because they can avoid it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they fall into it, they'll roll their brawn and I will roll my brawn as well. So my brawn is 40%. So the person who gets the highest score and succeeds wins. Okay, and I'm thinking, so it'd be really bad at this point me saying it will take 5 minutes for you to sink in. I think it's better to say there's a number of brawn rolls that will happen before you submerged. So I was thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 rolls. After 6 rolls, the character will be submerged. So the order is calves, thighs, waist, abdomen, 1, 2, 3, chest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, waist, thighs. Waist is the same as the abdomen. Then chest. Then neck. And then covered. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Oh no, and then neck, top of head. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So that there, and something as simple as that. Right. Characters can help each other by providing opportunities to augment the trapped character with their own brawn roll, rather than, no, I'm going to leave it like that, I think. See, if you augment something, it's only 20%. So a character with brawn, say 50, if they augment somebody else's roll, it's going to be a 10% improvement. And I think that has to be, do they augment it or do they oppose? No, let's not to oppose the sinking mud's own brawn with their own brawn roll. Once the trapped character is from their waist or above, the difficulty grade is increased by 1 level. It's always better in this game to talk about increasing it by 1 grade rather than saying something like, oh, it now will be hard. Because say, for example, they're already fatigued and everything is hard, this will now make it formidable. Okay, which all sort of like makes sense. These need to be sorted out. Right. The plants have a total of 6 tendrils. 4 tendrils I'm going to have that they can use independently. There is a bed of 3 of these plants. The bandits know of the location of these and will lead the group into the bed. Now, at this point, I have to say I'm not a great believer of here is the map. Here are some crosses on my map. Let's see if they follow the route or not. I will play it completely by ear. And so what I've already got set up here is like a blank swamp page that I can do. I've put some sort of like higher ground on there that they can try to run to, but basically it'll be the same sort of like setup throughout. And the group's really good. They realize that it takes a long time to create anything like this, so that they'll be fine about that. I'm just really interested how they deal with it, you know, because what are they going to use? What are they going to, how are they going to get round it? And I'm almost like pitting the environment against them. I'm also changing the sort of like feel now that they're with Project Nemesis. It's going to be a lot of the time traveling your ship to here, do something, come back. So they're not always on Sothis, or they're not always on Arid, how they started off. They're now sort of like taking that step up, and they're going to do flight or travel to different areas. I also want to do an adventure when they're in vac suits, like full space outfits, and then penalize them because they haven't got any skills in working in zero gravity or something like that. I also think it's, I mean, zero gravity firing a shotgun, that's what Newman has. I'm not even sure if there's no atmosphere that things like shotguns work, even. I'm not too sure. I wonder what I'm interested in. Will a shotgun work in no atmosphere? No atmosphere required. Fires can't burn. Oxygen free. But guns can shoot. Modern ammunition contains its own oxidizer, a chemical that will trigger the gun firing bullet. So no atmospheric oxygen is required. So that's good, isn't it? Well, I didn't know that. So anything like this really sort of like, you know, extend your own knowledge as well. Right, I'm going to coming to an end of this. I want to finish this this area. I have got the Tyrannosaurus Rex all ready to go as well. There he is, look. But I think he's actually in I don't think he's set up as a character at the moment. No, he's not. So I'll need to probably bring that in. So how I do that, just out of interest. So I go to let me just I go to this site, and then I type in here Tyrannosaurus. That is very poor spelling, but let's see what it can, if it can figure it out. No, it can't. Let's go with dinosaur and see what it comes up with. Right, so here, can you see these are Tyrannosaurus. This is Tyrannosaurus here. So I click on this, okay, and then up at the top, you can probably see that it says 147, okay, up there. So what I do now is that I come to this page and I replace that by, was it 147? I forgot what it was. No, that's not it. Let me just check what it was again. 174. Okay, so 174. We go Mithras. This one in here. We go 174. Click it. That gives me this. I then take all that, copy it, come back over to here. I open this character sheet like so, and here I press the import button and I paste it like that, and then I say import. Okay, and what it does is that it changes everything for me. So can you see it's, so this one can go now. I think I can just delete it. I might I'll leave it for the time being. So this now has all the attributes. So I can now see that the hit point structure of this is 8 armor points and 17 hit points. So I have to now think, is this going to be too dangerous? So you can see here that the damage modifier is 2d10, which would literally wipe the floor with them. It would really just wipe the floor with them. So their bite does 2d10, 2d8 plus the damage modifier. So it would be really interesting, but that allows me, and then what I can do is that as this attacks, I can just call it up and I've got it, and that's it. So, and that's the nice thing. So I don't have D&D on Roll20 and probably other ones as well. You have all your monsters ready. You know, mine, I have to sort of like see what's there and what it will do. I noticed that there was the other thing that there was a Tyrannosaurus, a Triceratops. So it might be that I go for a Triceratops. Oh, let's just type in dinosaur. So I could go for Triceratops, like a young adult. These were, I think these were herbivores. And this gives me roughly a good idea about its damage, etc. So I do have that option. Okay, we've been going for over 2 hours now, so I'm going to bring the stream to a bit of a close now. So first of all, thank you so much for coming along. It's really nice to have people in the chat and liking it and chatting to me. That's absolutely fantastic. I'll probably do this background around the other one as well with these clouds. I will be streaming back on Twitch tomorrow night for some Guild Wars 2, fingers crossed. Remember, if you want to follow along with any of our RPG stuff, then you can go to this page and follow along. I put all my videos and ideas on there, so you can go along and just follow it and get that information right there. If you want to see us in action, then you can go across to our YouTube channel that you're watching on now and see the actual play videos. But also you can come and watch us on Twitch. We do our RPGs on a Saturday night, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So yes, do come along and see them. Thank you for all your see you later. Thank you to Matt there. Thank you to Willie Gnome, and thank you to Darth as well. It's been fantastic having you in the chat as always. I'll see you tomorrow streaming on Twitch for Guild Wars 2, or it might be Minecraft, or I don't know yet. Anyway, have fun, stay safe and healthy, but most importantly, stay positive and enjoy your gaming and role playing. Hey, checking my loot. Hold on, I'm checking my loot. Howdy, I'm just finishing, but thank you for popping in and checking my loot. It's lovely to see you. Okay, people, I'll see you all later. Have fun. Goodbye.